Hi everyone, Phil from Tech for Techs here. Today we're going to be looking at this Thermaltake View 37 ARGB case. It basically means it's got addressable lights and it's also got an acrylic window which wraps around the side and the top in one huge piece. First, here's a quick video from our sponsors. Hi everyone, today we're looking at this Thermaltake View 37 ARGB mid-tower case. It's got what's called a gull-wing side panel, which basically means the side panel covers the whole of the side of the case and goes all the way into the top in one piece. It's easy to take off. It's just basically got two thumb screws and a little bracket at the top. Once you've unscrewed those, it slides off just like any other computer case. So it's fairly easy to get off. Okay, on the top of this case you've got your main power button, which is here. You've also got the load and power light as well. You've got two USB 3 ports, two standard USB 2 ports. You've got your headphone and microphone socket, and you've also got your RGB button. That's if you've not got it connected up to the motherboard. You can actually swap between the motherboard as well and the standard controller what's built into the case if you wish by pressing this button. Only catches with this button, it's not easy to press. If you've got big fingers, there's no way you're going to be able to press that. You're going to have to use a tool like a pen or something along like that, or a screwdriver to change the colours of the lights, which could potentially mean that you're going to scratch the case. It's probably like that so you don't accidentally knock it or something, but to me it's just a little bit too small and I don't want to really scratch the case by having to poke it with a pen or a screwdriver. Otherwise the case, as you can see, it's got two fans on the front. Those are 200mm fans. Instead, if you wished, you could actually put on the front 320mm fans or 340mm fans. On the rear it has got one 120mm fan, but it will actually take 140mm as well, and as you can see on the rear it has got the built-in ARGB fan as well. It will also take on the bottom one 120mm fan or one 140mm fan, so that's down here. And also on what the class is the right hand side, which is going to be this side here, you can actually mount another 3 fans there, which would be a 120mm or 140mm fans, because the actual ventilation can go through the sideways. It's also ideal for putting water cooler units in, like the reservoir down there. On the front it will support a 360mm reservoir or a 280. On the rear it will support a 120 or a 140. And on the right hand side it will support a 380mm or 420mm radiator. So that's the basics to the main part of the case. On the inside of the case you do have 3 hard drive bays, which will take your 3.5-inch or 2.5-inch drives, so solid state drives, standard hard drives if you wish, and they easily mount in there. It's not a complete toolless design because you still have to screw them in from the side or the underneath depending on the style of drive you're using. The machine does also allow you to mount 4 drives on the back of the motherboard side or the right hand side of the case. This is actually quite good because that could potentially mean you could have up to 7 hard drives inside this case, when a lot of cases this sort of size these days will only allow you to have 2 or 3. You've also got the right angle bracket here, which will allow you to put in the graphics cards vertically. It'll support a double bay graphics card, but you've also got your standard PCI Express slots there as well. Otherwise, the inside of the case is very nice looking. The actual cable tidying holes have all got rubberized bits in them to obviously make the cables look nice, and also, which is a bit different than a lot of cases, you've got room for that large radiator or multiple fans going up and down this area here, and they'll blow the air out of the side of the machine. Okay, on the right hand side of the case, or the back of the motherboard side, whatever you want to call it, you have got these 4 mounting places here to put actual hard drives in there. Basically the way it works, you're under the thumb screw, you attach your hard drive or solid state drive onto the bracket, and then you would screw it back in using the thumb screw, and obviously you can do that 4 times. Which would be there, so that's actually pretty ideal. The only catch I see about mounting and stuff at the back, this side probably alright because there'll be vents here, but down this corner there'll be no ventilation, and there's nowhere for the air to escape that area other where the motherboard will be, which obviously is going to be covered up by the motherboard. So I'm a bit concerned that those drives, especially if traditional hard drives and high usage ones, they may get a little bit warm because there's not going to be much airflow getting to that specific area. Otherwise, you've got your RGB controller down here. This is built into the case, so you don't have to buy in a separate ARGB controller. Again, this is an addressable, or some people call it digital RGB controller, which will allow you to separately adjust each individual light on the LED fans, so you can have quarter of it red, quarter of it blue, quarter green, and so forth, but that is obviously up to you how you have that set up. Everything else, cabling is all black, which is good. The only niggly little thing I hate, and I see this in a lot of cases, is the USB 2 connections and the audio connection onto the motherboard are black until you get to right to the end, and then it's multicoloured. So you get this sort of a rainbow effect plugging into your nice black motherboard, or whatever colour motherboard you've got, and then you have these slightly tacky looking connections, is probably the best way of putting it, because you wanted everything to match, and then you've suddenly got these 2 connectors which, well, they don't fit in with anything, to be honest with you. So considering the price of the case, I would have expected somehow they would have blacked that out, used black cabling, made the boot cover them, or something along that lines, but unfortunately it lessens the effect slightly, especially for people who are very specific about their colouring inside the case. So here's a few of the colour modes on here. So you've got full red, yellow, green, turquoise, blue, white, purple, all off. You've got RGB mode, so the lights dance around in circles. Similar sort of thing again. That changes just the fans from one whole colour to a next. Dancing red, yellow, green, turquoise, blue, and white, purple. And then you've got basically flashing RGB colours. You've got flashing red, yellow, green, turquoise, blue, white, purple, and then it goes back to the old colours. If you hold the button down long enough, if you've got RGB connection on the motherboard itself, then you can actually get the RGB software from your motherboard manufacturer to take control of the lights as well. So you've got quite a few different options on there, and I'm surprised how many options you've actually got from that front button. And again, the biggest issue with it is it's that small. I have to use a screwdriver or a small pen or something to actually press the button, because as you can see, you can't do it. You can probably try if you've got really small fingers to do it, but it's a little bit awkward, as you can see. The Thermaltake View 37 ARGB, not to be mixed up with the standard RGB version, is a fine looking case. It has all the ARGB fans already installed with its own controller. It's wider than most cases, but this comes in handy. You can mount 4 3.5-inch hard drives behind the motherboard, or additionally you could make it 8 2.5-inch drives behind the motherboard and have still plenty of room for excess cables. It does have a few small issues, like the ARGB button on the front being a little too small, especially for my hands, but overall it's a very nice case, and it's easy to build in. I would not have a problem recommending this to a gamer. Next to a lot of the other cases out there, it does make your head turn with those large ARGB fans and the gull-wing side top window. The standout point of this case is the ARGB controller and the ability to have so many settings on there, even if you have a motherboard that doesn't have an ARGB controller built into it. Some of the pros, basically it supports a vertical graphics card. You can actually remove the hard drive bays as well, and the vertical mount if needs be. There's lots of room for extra fans as well as large radiators, and obviously this gives it extremely good ventilation. Some of the negatives, one of the first things is there's no USB-C on the front. USB 2.0 audio headers, basically you've got multicolored endings and could do with being all black or have some sort of boot on them. We did have a slight blemish on the metal top beam. The ARG button again is too small. It's not completely toolless because you still need screws and so forth to screw into the hard drive caddy and obviously the motherboard and everything else in. The rubber cable management grips fell off quite often while you're trying to mount the cables through, which was a bit of a pain to put them back on again. Drives behind the motherboard area towards the back of the case do get slightly warmer than if they are in other positions in the case. And the last thing is there is no power supply shroud to cover up any ugly power supplies you may have. But after saying that, it is a very, very, very attractive case, and I do like it a lot, and I wouldn't hesitate recommending this for a lot of people. We have awarded this case the Gold Award, and if you would like to see more information about the review, please go to our website, techfortechs.co.uk. Otherwise, thanks for watching and see you next time, and don't forget to give us those thumbs up and shares and likes and subscribes. Thanks again for watching, see you next time.